Coach, overall, it looked like that was one of the better defensive performances in the year for the team, just in terms of the early first halves, limiting the offense, keeping the team in the game. How did you feel about how the team performed?
Let me go back to the game, because right now we didn't win. So, but in the game, it's like Coach Morris said. You can always look at the score and you can look at the results, because that's what I do after it's all over. But in the game, like you said, we made some defensive plays. We made some stops. At the end of the game, I found out that we had 11 tackles for loss. And I think to tackle those guys behind the line of scrimmage, and when you watch the video, and we on defense, we always count hats. We call it counting hats. We want to see how many people are on the tackle on our defense, and we compare to how many of their guys are putting out extra effort to block us, and are they on the film, or they at the ball. So there were several plays where we had many more hats than they did. And, we didn't win the game, but we had overall more of those plays, those type plays, when you look at it, than we had throughout the season. Of course, more tackles for loss than we've had all season. And we've continued to maintain the ability or the effort to be able to create a turnover. Now, our goals are much higher than that, but our kids, we have to give them something. We have to give them something, and those tackles for loss and the turnovers are something that we're going to keep on harping on. And like Coach Morris said, in order for us to win the game, we have to eliminate the errors. And you can look at the defense and say, oh, you guys played your best game. We still had errors, right? We still gave them plays because of our errors. And good football teams, good defenses, you don't do that. We are not the biggest, the fastest, and the strongest. And since you are not that, then, and this is what I tell the team as well, the defense as well, and since you are not that, then you have to make sure that you're right every single time. As a play caller, I have to be perfect every single time, because, we're not going to take a guy and throw him over the fence and make a tackle. We're going to have to be in our gaps correctly every single time, and that's hard for a defense to do. It's hard. And it's hard for a play caller to call the perfect call to get them lined up perfectly. But that's my responsibility. And I put it on our players that, okay, when I get you into that place, we don't have a lot of reserves. We don't have a lot of extra unblocked guys. You got to make the tackle. It's one-on-one. You got to make the tackle. And that's just what it is.
Coach, with Bo, Dion, and Seth all playing on defense, how tough is it to get them over from the offense, bring them up to speed, and then how do you think they play to perform?
Well, I can't really talk about those guys without getting emotional, because of the fact that they, just like Coach said, are selfless people, and they're selfless players. And for Seth and Dion, now, Bo, big linemen, they just bump into each other. It's one, you just got to figure out, are you watching the ball or are you listening to the snap count? And Bo got that confused a few times in practice. But Dion and said to come over and a quick flash, because of injury, come over and be willing to lay it out there and have to go into the game and perform the way they did. Now, they're not going to be on the Jim Thorpe Award list this week, but they went out and they gave us everything that they had. And what they did, like Coach Morris said, what they did is what we're getting from a lot of these players, from a lot of these kids. It's not translating on the field because of wins, but I'm man enough, I'm adult enough to know, you know what? Sometimes you don't get all that you want. Sometimes you got to look and say, this is really good. And these kids, they're giving us all that they can. And that's a true example. Those three young men are a true example of what we're getting. So for us defensively as a staff, they brought more to the table than a lot of kids in that situation because they brought want to, and they brought a team first attitude, and we're able to work with that.
Also bring to the table kind of a different style you've been used to the last 5 weeks?
Their quarterback does not run the ball, does he? I mean, tell me no. Right? Yeah. Well, so that's what's different. And I'm going to bring a chalkboard in here. Some of you young people don't know what chalkboards are all about. But I'm going to bring a chalkboard in here, and I'm going to draw up the run fits and what they look like when you have to face a quarterback who runs. It's very different when you have the quarterback handing the ball off and looking cute as he carries out his fake. And then you have another guy who's carrying the football. They present the challenge of receivers who go down the field. They really stretch defenses. They also have capable running backs, and you know, it's just you just put the sauce in a different pan, right? You have to defend Kieris Garrett down the field. You continually see him, just like Coach Morris said. I remember Kieris there as a young player. He continually stresses defenses. So you have to find a way to be able to help your cornerbacks to defend him, as well as on the other side of the field, a receiver who can stretch it vertically as well. So I think that's the biggest thing, is they take shots down the field. When you scout the last 4 games, they've taken 42 shots down the field. And I think 24 of those have been to the outside 2 receivers. So, you know, you have to be able to contain that, as well as, and I say this for our linebacker and our D-line coach, as well as be able to have your safeties participate in the run fit as well.
You mentioned Kieris Garrett. He's big, he's fast, he seems to be on the highlights every week, making one-handed catches. How do you simulate him in practice?
I do it. I'm just joking. I just like when you said big and fast, I just had to jump on it. You know, we really don't have receivers on our scout team who are as tall as he is. We have some guys in Prochet and, you know, some athletic guys who can stretch it down the field. But, you know, the quarterback, he hangs it up, and this guy's as tall as every DB that he plays against. So the size matchup, we're not able to get that in practice. So what we have to do is we have to do a good job of eliminating him vertically as soon as we can, and that goes into some of the techniques that we'll use, you know, as we play him, is not allowing him to get down the field without a body on him, uncover or disrupt his vertical pattern as early as you can, and you give yourself a chance. He's not running down the field and you're trying to catch him and find yourself in a jump ball situation. But we don't have, now if you're available, we can work something out. The fast may be out of it.
I think so. Dane Evans, you talked about all the mobile quarterbacks you faced this year, and Dane Evans has only run for 147, and if you put the sacks in, he's got negative rushing yards. But he throws for almost 350 a game. What is it about him as a passer that makes him so effective, and does he remind you